In this world, there's one man who refuses to follow the script.
We have rules here, you know that. And if you don't follow the rules, then what are we?
One man stands tall in the face of adversity.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they all love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos. And this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, wonderful Sports Wednesday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Wednesday morning, the world of sports is alive. And we're going to get to all the big stories, including why the Stanley Cup final hinges on what Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour does next. I will tell all of you, the star quarterback in the National Football League that could very well be playing elsewhere in 2027, and I have good reason to make that statement. And I will also inform you, our listeners and viewers, the one team, and this is an illustrious list, the one team in professional sports that is wasting its time more than any of the others. And man, think about some of the bad teams in pro sports. I mean, this is saying something. The team that is wasting its time in pro sports more than any of the others, and I will tell you the reason why. Our bets for tonight will close the show in the Power Hour, the final hour. Look forward to that. Obviously, chief among them, Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight with the Knicks and the Spurs. The phone number, 310-840-4910. The YouTube page, youtube.com/@thekostos, TheKostos. And I am on all social platforms @thekostos, TheKostos. But we officially start wonderful Sports Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet in anticipation. Game 4, tonight, Madison Square Garden, NBA Finals. The Knicks and the Spurs. The New York Knicks leading this series 2-1, although I will admit, as a Knicks fan, doesn't feel like the Knicks are leading right now. A lot of anxiety running through Nick Kostos' body. A lot of trepidation running through my body. All of my friends and family that root for the Knicks. I want to say quiet confidence, but I think that would be lying. I think it's more nerves as to how this is going to go. And I think people can certainly understand that sentiment. The Knicks, currently at BetMGM, a 1.5-point favorite tonight. So we have seen the betting market move towards San Antonio from open. Not a big surprise. We saw the same thing in Game 3. It looks like the Knicks will settle at about a 1.5, 2-point home favorite in tonight's Game 4. The total in the game, 215.5. Before we break down what to expect in tonight's game, first things first. Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. The news was broken yesterday by Shams Charania of ESPN and others that Victor Wembanyama was not retroactively assessed a flagrant foul for his forearm to the back of Jalen Brunson's head, the forearm mush sending Brunson to the floor in game number 3. The NBA did admit that it would, I mean, imagine them being like, yeah, no foul. Shouldn't have been called anything. So the NBA says, should have been called a foul, but they will not retroactively assess a flagrant. And if there had been flagrant, talk of there being a flagrant or have him being assessed a flagrant foul, a potential suspension comes into question for Victor Wembanyama because of the elbow to Naz Reid's throat a couple rounds ago in the postseason that saw him get ejected from that game. And we were talking, should he be? I didn't think he should. Some people did. Frank Isola on the show yesterday, really respected longtime NBA voice, said he thought Wembanyama should have been suspended for a game. That was not the case. So Wemby, no flagrant foul and thus avoids a suspension. My opinion on that? Fair. And I'm a Knicks fan saying this. I think it would have been preposterous if we had, I don't know what it would have risen to. Victor Wembanyama should not be suspended for an NBA Finals game. And candidly, do I think it was a dirty-ish play by Wemby? I do. Was it a cheap shot from Victor Wembanyama? I do. And I'll be honest, I got a lot of positive feedback from Spurs fans yesterday on my take on Victor Wembanyama. I thought it was really fair. I acknowledged, like I do my tribal chief Roman Reigns with the one in the air, that if I were a Spurs fan, I would love what Wemby did. Also, I don't think you can defend it. And I don't think he's a dirty player, but he's had some dirty moments. I do find him to be a little bit hypocritical at this point, though. I absolutely don't think he should have gotten suspended. Was it a dirty-ish play? Yes. Was it something that rises to the level of a true flagrant foul? Probably not. Probably not. He didn't hurt Brunson. He didn't put Brunson in any serious, significant danger. It was a stupid play, should have been called for a foul. I don't have any issue after the fact with this not being retroactively called a flagrant foul. As a Knicks fan, I'm fine with it. And look, I understand from the NBA's perspective, even if it were borderline, you can't risk having the golden goose out for an NBA Finals game. And people can feel however they want to about that. I'm just saying, from the NBA perspective, I'm not defending them, just so you can understand where they're coming from. So no issue on my end that this was not ruled a flagrant foul on Victor Wembanyama. The thing that I have an issue, though, and this is honestly has nothing to do with the San Antonio Spurs. Nothing. This has to do, and you know what? I actually want to preface this by saying there's been a lot of talk about Knicks fans in the wake of the Game 3 loss on Monday night. Now, I will never defend, ever, anyone who physically attacks the fan of another team at a game, before a game, after a game. So there are videos circulating of moron, clown, trashy, classless, jackass New York Knicks fans assaulting fans of the San Antonio Spurs after Game 3. And of course, reporters and media are going to ask Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox and company to comment on this. They're doing their jobs. And what do you expect? This becomes a story when Victor Wembanyama says, they shouldn't do that. Of course they shouldn't do it. You don't need Victor Wembanyama. Now, again, I understand why Wemby's being asked. I would ask him that question also. But, this is not something that requires Victor Wembanyama to weigh in, even though I understand why he was asked to weigh in. This is a common sense issue. If you're a fan and you go to a game, you should never attack someone else at the game. This is basic human decency that some of these idiot Knicks fans who I disavow, not that my opinion matters or I'm the living tribunal of this thing, but I don't consider them to be real Knicks fans. Sure, they can watch games and they can cheer for the team, but you take it to another level that it doesn't need to be at when you act like that, when you act like a jackass. When you put someone's livelihood potentially in danger. Who knows how this stuff goes? Who knows when something starts how it's going to end up? It's ridiculous. They should be ashamed of themselves. But you know what? That's a big problem we've got in this country overall. And I'm a New Yorker saying this about New Yorkers. But look, you can take this and you can shine this spotlight anywhere. There's a lack of shame. Because I guarantee you, I don't want to guarantee it actually. Because who knows? Maybe some of them do feel shame. But I'll bet you a lot of them don't feel shamed for their actions, are able to look in the mirror and be I didn't do anything wrong. It's a problem, is that people don't feel enough shame for their actions, for the way they conduct themselves. Walking around like you're Teflon, Like, you can do no wrong, and everything's everybody else's fault, and you're not to blame for anything. These Knicks fans that did this, they suck. They suck. And they are not indicative of the broader, larger New York Knicks fan base. I can say this as a Knicks fan who lives in New York and has lived here my whole life. Not indicative of the larger, broader New York Knicks fan base. Now, with that being said, so I am not defending this at all. They suck, these people that did this. They suck. Hear me? Not defending it. Also, to suggest that this is a problem that is unique to New York, come on. It's disingenuous, and it's ridiculous. So the painting of, look at how the New York sports fan acts, like, look, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. And as 50 Cent famously said, and if you got a glass jaw, you should watch your mouth, because he'll break your face. I won't. I'm a peaceful person. But 50 Cent's from Queen. You don't know how 50 Cent's going to react. I'm just saying. You don't want to see Curtis Jackson in a situation like this. So don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Every fan base has dumb fans. All of them. How do I know this? Because there are dumb people everywhere. In the United States, in every continent, in every corner of the world, unfortunately, there lurks a stupid person. A person who is prone to acting like a jackass in spots like this. Fair or unfair? You tell me if anything I said just now was unfair. I think it's all fair. And now, let's talk about this idea that Knicks fans are soft or crybabies because we collectively are pissed about what happened with Victor Wembanyama and Jalen Brunson. I don't think people understand. First off, everyone hates, I understand, you hate Knicks fans. And everybody will take the opportunity whenever they can to tear down Knicks fans, right? And look, let's keep it a buck, right? Because you're jealous. You're not jealous of the Knicks winning because they haven't won. But you're jealous because everyone looks at Knicks fans as the shining example of a fan base. You know, morons outside the garden, not included. Because Knicks fans are passionate, because Knicks fans travel, because Knicks fans take over opposing arenas. Everyone hates Knicks fans because everybody hates New York. Now, look, I'm a New Yorker, so I'm biased. Why does everybody hate New York? Because New York's the best. And I understand this is a national show, but this is a national topic, right? Everyone hates Knicks fans, so you're predisposed to be anti-fan of the New York Knicks, anti-New York Knicks, period. I get it. I mean it. I understand it. I'm a Yankee fan. I understand it, right? I get it. I totally get it. Do you not understand the psychology of what's happening here? Like, seriously. If you take a second and actually think about it, you can put yourself easily in the shoes of a New York Knicks fan to understand the emotion felt in that moment. And I can't believe that I have to spell this out for people. This is like, I feel like I'm trying to explain how to do a mundane task to my 2-year-old daughter. The Knicks have not won a championship in 53 years. You might have heard that, right? In my lifetime, they haven't won. In the lifetimes of many people, they haven't won. Many New York Knicks fans. In the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. And in this NBA Finals, in the first home game at Madison Square Garden, we see our best player, and maybe you want to say it's Towns, whatever, the leader of the team, the fan favorite, Jalen Brunson, literally, not figuratively, literally get forearm mushed in the back of the head and thrown to the ground by the 8-foot alien on the other team, the best player on the other team. And we're not supposed to feel some type of way about that? We're supposed to, they played, P.J. Brown back body dropped Chris Childs in the 90s, so no worries. JoJo English and Derek Harper got into a tussle in the 90s, so all good. No worries, because 30 years ago, something happened in Miami, or something happened in Indiana, or something happened in Chicago, or something happened at Madison Square Garden. Ergo, no worries that this happened in the NBA Finals in the year of our Lord 2026. Nope, no big deal. There is also the psychology here, right, wrong, or indifferent, And again, like, you don't have to like this. I'm not saying you have to like it. But what I'm saying is you have to understand it. Because it's 1 + 1 = 2, right? Victor Wembanyama is 7'9" or whatever, and you can't teach that. He's amazing. He's a better player than Brunson. This is not me saying like, wow, Wemby sucks. He doesn't suck. He's unbelievable. He's the big guy, and he's pushing around the little guy. You can't understand why the fan base doesn't like that? Why the fan base gets pissed about that? We're just supposed to be like, well, it's the finals and it's physical basketball, so you can ragdoll the best player on our team. Are you crazy? Like, is this legitimate? So, look, man, you want to say that these Knicks fans that are acting like jerks outside the Garden, causing bodily harm, that they suck? I'm with you. 100%. 100%. No defending that conduct. I'll never defend that conduct. It's ridiculous. It's horrible. And these people have no shame. And when they look in the mirror, they should be embarrassed. And I hope they are. But to suggest that Knicks fan, that represents the wide swath of Knicks fans is ludicrous. And B, to suggest that Knicks fans are soft because we collectively are pissed about what happened to Brunson, like, give me a break. Stop it. Like, stop it. Stop it. Because this is like, you're up on Mount Pius and you are pretending like you, the person issuing this criticism, are not a big sports fan. Because here's the guarantee that I'll make. If it were you and your team, you'd feel the same way. If it were you and your team, you'd feel the same way. Right? You're a Penguins fan. Here's an enforcer coming and laying out Sidney Crosby. You're not going to feel some type of way about that? You're a Warriors fan. Same thing happens to Steph Curry. You're not pissed? You're just cool with it? You're a Chiefs fan. Patrick Mahomes gets laid out after the whistle. No problem? All good? Football's a physical sport, right? No big deal, right? Really? You think so? Are you being honest? Are you being genuine? Or do you just hate the Knicks? And I mean, I don't care that you hate. It's fine. Again, I'm a Yankee fan. I get it. I understand. But just say it. Just say that you hate them. And you hate Knicks fans like me. It's fine. It's sports. It's cool. No worries. It's what makes it fun. But just don't be disingenuous. Don't be disingenuous. Give me a break. Now, last note here, and then on the other side, we'll talk about the game. What to expect on the basketball court tonight. I will say, the thing that does upset me a little bit, now that I've given some time to think about it, and I saw Draymond Green, I believe it's on his Odyssey podcast that he talked about this. It might have been with Kevin O'Connor from Yahoo, I'm not 100% sure. Draymond Green was basically saying, if that had been Curry and he were on the court, he would have maybe gotten thrown out of the game for what he would have done after that. Does part of me wish that I'll just use him as an example because he's in the camera shot when it happens? Do I wish like Josh Hart had gotten in Wemby's face, pushed Wemby? Who knows what happens, right? Do I wish that? Part of me does. Also, man, it's a different game than it was 30 years ago. It's officiated differently. So yeah, like the bloodlust part of me, like the sports fan in me that would have rooted for the Lions in the Roman Coliseum against, humans. Would I have liked to see it? Yes. I think it's a really, really tough spot to be in. I don't think I could have been more fair in what I said. Told you I don't think Wemby should have gotten flagrants. I don't think he should be suspended. Laughable to me. He should be playing tonight. And the Knicks fans that hurt other fans are idiots. The other stuff, though, give me a break. Give me a break. Just admit that you hate the Knicks. And then you can say whatever you want. But don't paint this as this criticism from on high. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. On the other side, we'll talk about what to expect on the court tonight, Game 4 of the NBA Finals. I got a number of things I'd like to roll through that I think will determine the winner of tonight's game. We'll do that here on a Wednesday, You Better You Bet, on Westwood One Sports.
It seems as though you may be New York's newest villain. Is that kind of the ultimate compliment?
I guess I'm nowhere near Trae Young level, though.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
I just spent all this time defending Knicks fans. Like, the Trae Young stuff is so stupid. It stopped being, like, the only funny thing in this vein that Knicks fans have done is trolling Kevin Durant. That stuff actually makes me laugh. Like, the idea that Knicks fans were trolling Kevin Durant for not signing with the Knicks when, like, he's in the, like, that I actually think is kind of tongue-in-cheek and, like, nodding at itself for being ridiculous. The Trae Young stuff, I feel like, is legitimate. Like, Knicks fans actually hate this guy. For what? Like, he's on the Wizards. He's 1-0. I don't even want to do this with Trae Young. F-U, CJ, I mean, infantile. You know what? I'm going to pretend like I'm like Men in Black devising this for myself right now. I'm forgetting the last 60 seconds ever happened because I want to be positive right now about the Knicks. This segment on You Better You Bet sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com, progressivecommercial.com. Okay, as far as the actual game is concerned, tonight, Game 4 of the NBA Finals, couple things that I'll be watching for. Number one, what type of game do we get from Jalen Brunson? Now, he was electric down the stretch of Game 1, helped the Knicks obviously win that game, and made the free throw to put them ahead in Game 2. But we can be honest here, right? He hasn't played great in these finals. And yeah, he scored 32 points on Monday night, an inefficient 32 points. Brunson shooting 37% from the field, 32% from three. Same amount of assists as turnovers. Terrible when you're in a spot like this. And the offense has been completely stagnant. And what I'm about to say is a stinging... Now, it's one game, and they had won 13 straight prior, right? So I'm not trying to be too dramatic with this, but it needs to be said. It looked like the Tom Thibodeau Knicks offense on Monday night. And that is a tremendous insult. And I mean it. And I mean it as such. You had this free-flowing Knicks offense where they're playing a lot through Towns. And like OG Anunoby even said that it felt like, and I'm paraphrasing here, felt like he was a little disconnected. That's bad. Like the offense looked like the Tom Thibodeau Knicks offense, where it was too much hero ball, too much dribbling from Jalen Brunson. I think Brunson needs more help. And the easy help comes in the form of Karl Anthony Towns. Here's where we bring the two in together. I don't know the X's and O's of basketball to sit here and talk to you like I'm a former coach or a former player. But I've watched enough to know that Karl Anthony Towns, I don't care what the Spurs are doing. Karl Anthony Towns needs to be more involved in the game. Can't have just 10 points. Ridiculous. Brunson needs more help. And I'm talking not just in terms of passing the ball and shots. Like physically, he needs some help here. Look at how the Spurs are defending him. That's not a complaint, a criticism. They're doing a wonderful job. They're being uber physical. It's the finals. I love it. Like as a Knicks fan, I hate it. But as a sports fan, I love it. It's great what they're doing. They did something similar to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Shai is like 5 inches taller. He's bigger than Brunson. So Jalen needs some help. Now, I'll be honest here, and I'm not going to change my tune no matter what happens in tonight's game tomorrow morning. So if it doesn't go the way I think it's going to go, I'll just say I was wrong. But I'm not going to change my tune. Brunson has proven to me, not that like he needs to prove anything to me, but if this is going to turn into, so let's just, I'm going to create a scenario for everybody. 1 point game, either way, 4 minutes to play. 5, 6 minutes, whatever, 7 minutes to play. Close game, fourth quarter. If you tell me Jalen Brunson's taking every shot or close to every shot, I'm in. I'm okay with it. So maybe it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit here. I'm saying at the end of the game, I'm fine with Brunson shooting almost all the time. And you know what? Win or lose, I'm okay with it. I'm willing to roll the dice there. But that can't be what's happening for a lot of the game. The offense has got to be way, way more fluid than it was in game number 3. And to be fair, it has been for the vast majority of the series. From a Spurs perspective, I think this is pretty easy for what we're looking for tonight. I believe Victor Wembanyama is going to play well. Like, film at 11. What a shocking take. Who thinks he's going to play poorly? Wemby's going to play well. And I think he's past the brain fart of game 2. I don't think that'll happen again. I feel very confident that Dylan Harper will continue to shine. He looks built for this moment. My San Antonio question, and thing that I'm watching tonight, can Stephon Castle do it again? And when I say do it again, I'm not talking like him having a good game. He was the second best player on the court on Monday night. He was unbelievable. He made the big shot in the game, 108-104. Wemby gives it, hands him the ball as the shot clock's running down, and he makes a ridiculous three-pointer to put them up 7 with under 2 to play. Can he do it again? If he does, I mean, the Knicks are going to be in a world of trouble. I'll also be watching for the whistle. After what Mike Brown said after the game on Monday night. He put the officiating under a microscope, and I told you yesterday that I believe he did that, not as a way of saying the Knicks got jobbed. I think he knows they got outplayed. The players know they got outplayed. The players know they gave the game away. The Spurs gave it away in game 2, right? All good. He didn't do it to say the refs screwed us. He did that to say, I want to get some calls in game 4. So what's the whistle going to be like? And the last thing. There's one aspect of what Mike Brown did that I think is being under-discussed right now by me, first and foremost, and others. But you know what? I'll just say I've under-discussed it. And what it will do to the psychology of the crowd tonight, which is we are an anxious bunch to begin with. And you know what? Maybe I'll do a little bit more on this, the psyche of the New York sports. Do people care nationally? Look, the Knicks are in the finals. It's a little interesting, right? My concern is if the refs start, San Antonio gets a questionable call early in the game, like the crowd is going to start immediately turning on the refs. Immediately. And the crowd needs to be focused on cheering on the Knicks. And that is one subplot here that I feel like is not really being discussed. This can't turn into everybody's whining about the officials the entire game if something goes wrong. And I feel like that is how the crowd is going to, it's human nature, how the crowd is going to react tonight. And it does make me a little concerned. We'll get to the Stanley Cup Final and Game 4 last night and what to expect in Game 5 next hour on the show. Brett McMurphy of On3, college football insider on Brendan Sorsby to start next hour. On the other side, Danny Parkins, First Things First, Fox Sports 1 on You Better You Bet, Westwood One Sports, Nick Kostos and You, presented by BetMGM.
Running down, Castle has to put it up. Bang! Stephon Castle from three-point range. And it's a 7-point Spurs lead. And the Spurs win. What a response from San Antonio. They do it again.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Mike Breen with the call the other night on ESPN. I just said it to you guys. I'm very confident Victor Wembanyama will play great tonight. I'm very confident Dylan Harper is going to keep doing what he's been doing. From the San Antonio perspective, I think this game will hinge whether or not Steph Castle can be as good as he was on Monday night. And if he is, and that wasn't a good game, that was a great game from Steph Castle. And if he's great, just tell you that the anxiety in my body's bubbling up right now. Today, BetMGM players will receive an NBA Finals Odds Boost token. To use the token, add a wager made up of NBA playoff bets to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win the wager, you'll receive extra winnings on unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. Joining us right now on the show. I mean, this guy, he's everywhere. How about he's emceeing Fox World Cup events? In addition to being one of the stars of First Things First on Fox Sports 1, weekdays, he does a great job on the show from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Noted takesmith. His hair looks great. Our friend Danny Parkins here on the show. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Kostos, good morning. Yes, noted takesmith. Spent yesterday morning in Times Square emceeing a ribbon cutting ceremony to unveil a 32 by 24 cube where two individuals will earn $50,000 to watch all 104 matches over the next 39 days with all of their interactions and commentary streamed on the Fox One app. My career is excellent. Thank you for asking. It was pretty cool. It was a great publicity stunt, and I had a great time. And the cube, I've lived in multiple apartments way worse than that cube. It was pretty sick.
Are you kidding? Like, if Chicago and New York, totally understand where you're coming from. There is a little bit of like a G-rated, like Black Mirror, like TV episode, and this is what it is, right? It's a fascinating social experiment, I think. Here's $50,000, sit in this air-conditioned cube for 6 weeks and do nothing but watch soccer.
Yeah, and it was going to be one person, and then they got so many applicants that now they got two people, and the guys were great. But they had a couple of recliners, a couple of couches, two 85-inch TVs, a refrigerator, a foosball table. I'm like, I'm going to a match. That's just a good setup. I'm gonna stop by and watch one of the games. I thought it was awesome.
Now, if I'm 25 or something, the only thing that's missing is a fridge full of beer and a bong on the table. That's just me, though. I'm just speaking for myself.
Just you. I would have no interest in something like that.
But listen, we know how you roll. We know how I roll. It is what it is. All right.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the actual game tonight, I started the show today, and I'm curious because you're a Chicago guy, and I actually don't know what your opinion is on this. I defend not the Knicks fans who are attacking Spurs fans. They're jackasses. They suck. But kind of defending the honor a little bit, Danny, of Knicks fans who are being criticized, being called soft, we're being called babies, because we don't like what Victor Wembanyama did to Jalen Brunson on Monday night. Where does Danny Parkins weigh in on this?
I mean, you shouldn't like what Victor Wembanyama did to Jalen Brunson. I find it to be a little bit of an internet story. The fight went viral among the fans, and that's obviously, you never want to condone violence. But I think generally speaking, sports is a pretty good, safe outlet for hate. And if Knicks fans want to boo the hell out of Wembanyama and channel some sports hate his way, I think that's a good thing. I do think that complaining about the referees is the lament of the loser. Not saying you are a loser, because I know you hated the referees, but just the loser in terms of the people who lost the sporting event.
Yeah, look, they got outplayed. The refereeing was bad, and also they got outplayed. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I do too. And Mike Brown is just doing what coaches are supposed to do and using the microphone as a bully pulpit. Again, I don't love it because I do think it kind of hijacks some of the narrative and takes away from the actual conversation around the games. I am much more interested in how Jalen Brunson has 82 points through 3 games on 81 field goal attempts and what the Spurs are doing to make him be crazy inefficient, just like they did SGA in the last round. I am much more interested in how Wemby bounced back with a 38-6-3 game that had only been done by Durant, LeBron, Kareem, and Duncan. And he did it on the road in MSG, coming off of what could have been a career-altering mistake in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. These have been 3 coin flip games. The Spurs have had double-digit leads in all 3 games. They have had leads in the last 3 minutes of all 3 games, and the Knicks are up 2-1. So it has been an amazing series. And so I thought that the officiating got out of line in Game 2 in terms of the physicality that was allowed. And then I thought not calling a tech on Dylan Harper, subbing him in, and then obviously the miss on the Wembanyama-Brunson play were 2 huge misses by the refs. But to me, the 10 best storylines are on the court in these finals and have nothing to do with the officiating.
What do you expect to happen on the court tonight in Game 4?
I think Wembanyama is going to be great. I think that's like the first thing. And listen, after this, he gets an extra day of rest between games. So if there is maybe a dud coming, I think it's tonight. But I think that, they clearly made throwing the lob to him a point of emphasis, which is just kind of hilarious because it's like
right.
He's
the
7'5".
Obvious thing. Yeah.
he's 7'5", and he's got hands that are as long as my arms. And it's like, so he catches everything, he tips everything, like to throw the ball up to him. And that I expect Wemby to be great. I am most fascinated by what adjustment the Knicks make. Kevin O'Connor was on the show. He pointed it out yesterday. In games 1 and games 2, Karl Anthony Towns had, this will be approximate, I don't remember exactly, it was like 63 and 65 offensive touches in the first 2 games. And he had 44 in game 3. They weren't playing through him. And when Brunson plays that hero ball, he is an amazing fourth quarter player. He is an amazing player, no qualifier attached to it. But I think, A, you're playing into the Spurs' hands because Castle can just guard him and Wemby can back him up. The ball isn't moving as much. And then this is the critical point. If everyone's kind of standing around and watching Brunson, that means that Wemby gets to just stand around and watch Brunson. And it preserves his energy. Like, you need to be working him into the action, swinging the ball side to side. And I know part of it was all the stoppages and the fouls and the reviews, but he didn't have to sit for a minute in the fourth quarter. That's a huge advantage for the Spurs if you don't tire him out and wear him down as the game goes on. And so I'm very interested to see what version of the Knicks offense comes out tonight.
Now, I'm curious what you're going to think of the opinion that I shared a little earlier as far as the Knicks offense goes. So agree with like 99.9% of what you just said. The offense had previously been fluid throughout this postseason, and it was undeniably stagnant in Game 3. And what I said is it felt like the Tom Thibodeau Knicks offense, which is a tremendous insult coming from me. And one of the criticism I had, Danny, of the Tom Thibodeau Knicks offense was it felt like there was way too much Jalen Brunson hero ball. And Brunson's a great player, but he's not Kobe Bryant. Like, that should not be his role. I think it's funny throughout this postseason, what we saw Game 1 against the Cavs, Game 1 against the Spurs, where if you told me that the Knicks offense would be this free-flowing, fluid offense for the first 44 minutes of the game, and then it's a close game with 4 minutes to play and Brunson takes every shot, as a Knicks fan, I think I sign up for it. Am I being ridiculous?
No, I think that's totally reasonable.
Like, he's earned that benefit of the doubt for you also, because he didn't have it for me coming into this postseason.
Yeah, listen, man, it's not my preferred method of basketball. I think it is easier to defend. And I don't particularly find it that great to watch. But that is how they have been built. He is one of the best fourth quarter players, if not the best fourth quarter player in the league. And I think that your time frame of the last 4 minutes of the game, that's totally reasonable. I have an issue with it when it is the whole fourth quarter or the last 10 minutes of the game and long stretches. And I just don't know how you could see the first 3 quarters of this game, even if I don't think he's taking particularly bad shots too often. Same number of assists as turnovers, basically the same number of points as field goal attempts, with the worst percentages we've seen from him in basically all season in a 3-game stretch. I don't know how anyone could justify that this is the best path, even though they're up 2-1. Like, I feel like he'd be taking a ton more heat if Wemby hits the shot at the end of game 2 and they're down 2-1 and they just dropped that game at Madison Square Garden, even though nothing else would have changed about his stat line. 82 points on 81 shots, shooting less than 40% is terrible. Like, that is terrible results. And so I think he's a beloved player. He's almost like a folk hero by Knicks fans because he took less money, because he's undersized.
Yeah.
All of this. Like, and again, he's an amazing basketball player. It's just the volume of shots and the efficiency against this particular defense. I just think you're playing right into their hands.
And just like, he is a folk hero. And it's just, you know what? Like, I defend Knicks fans a lot. We're kind of pathetic. I have ESPN on one of my TVs in the office. Like, John Starks is on ESPN right now. Like, John Starks went 2 for 18 in Game 7 in 1994, and we're celebrating this guy like he's Jordan. So it's like, if this is how we're celebrating John Starks 30 years after the fact, I mean, forget they could lose this series, tear down the Statue of Liberty. Here's Jalen Brunson doing whatever that ridiculous hand gesture he does. That'll replace the Statue of Liberty, even if they lose.
And again, he has all of the characteristics. He's stoic. He's not afraid of the last shot. His dad played for the team. He's undersized. He didn't sign for the maximum amount of money. Like, plays through injury, tough as hell. Like, all of the
Big East, I think, plays into it a little bit. Like, played in the Big East for Villanova, won a couple titles.
Winner. I get why he's beloved. I really do. I just, there's like a little bit. He should be beloved by Knicks fans and celebrated nationally. And it feels like if you're like, Jalen Brunson is one of the 15 best players in the NBA, and you say that to a Knicks fan, they're like, why do you hate Jalen Brunson?
Yeah, we're a bruised and battered fan base, dude.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like anything I said is they're like hating on Jalen Brunson. I just personally think that if you run your offense that way, it can catch up to you. And again, they're up 2-1 in the finals, and I've been wrong every step of the way. So it is looking like I will be wrong again. I think you're playing with fire playing this way.
Dude, we are so psychologically Knicks fans. Like, if there were sports fan therapy, Knicks fans need it. Big time.
Sure.
We are messed up. I mean, to like the end. Wait until like first play of the game. If there's a questionable non-call or call by the referees, and the Garden immediately is and that's gonna be the story. I'm already mad thinking about it.
Dude, Al Harrington has been great on First Things First, and he goes to these games, and he was at Game 3, and he came in yesterday, and he said. And he kind of went a little viral for saying that no Knicks fan, or a Knicks player, should have gone at Wemby a little bit after the thing with Brunson, which I thought was a great and totally reasonable take, certainly for a man of his ilk and his era. But I thought the most interesting thing he said is he's like, the Knicks wish Game 4 was on the road. And I just find that to be fascinating. He's like, there's just an immense amount of pressure, and if it goes poorly, the place tightens up and the team tightens up.
And not just goes poorly, I'll add this, because Yankee fans are the same way. The moment one thing starts to go poorly, things start to tense up.
Yeah. And
I gotta tell you, I think, do we suck? We might, I think we're great, but I mean, we might actually just suck. We might actually just suck.
There's a thin line, right, between genius and insanity. Like, if there's a thin line between being great and
crazy.
Sucking.
Yeah, we are crazy, and I acknowledge that.
Al Harrington playing for the Knicks. Seconds. Al Harrington playing for the Knicks and being an invited guest of Dolan and being at all of these games, saying that they should wish that the game wasn't in New York. That should mean something to Knicks fans.
Well, we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you.
Just, man. Our friend Danny Parkins joining us on You Better You Bet. What more can I say? Hour 1 done. Hour 2 for you coming up on the other side. We start the hour talking Brendan Sorsby in college football with Brett McMurphy of On 3.
names in the business are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
This is Bob Kostos, not Kostos, but you are listening to Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening as you do every day to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, brought to you by BetMGM.
The wonderful Sports Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our crew, and you here on Westwood One Sports. Love the first hour of the show, although I will admit the anxiety starting to bubble. The nerves starting to get significant ahead of Game 4 tonight of the NBA Finals as my Knicks host the San Antonio Spurs. Started the show saying, I got no issue with the NBA not retroactively hitting Victor Wembanyama with the flagrant foul. I get it. Wemby would not have been suspended, but it would have brought that into question in the last couple games of the finals. I'm happy that outcome is off the table, even as a fan of the New York Knicks. It was what it was. It's done. Move on. And now the Knicks just got to go take care of business on the court. I defended the honor of Knicks fans, even if I acknowledge we are a psychologically bruised and battered fan base. I acknowledge that, and I admit it. And we can be pathetic. But I'll tell you what, we're not soft. And we're not crybabies because we don't like what happened with Wembanyama and Brunson. You would feel the same way if you were in our shoes. Gave you some of the keys to victory tonight on the court in Game 4. I'd like to see Karl Anthony Towns way more involved for the Knicks on offense. Brunson wants to play hero ball. Last couple minutes of the game, I get it. I don't want to see it otherwise from Brunson. Way more cat in the game tonight. And for the Spurs, can Steph Castle be what he was in Game 4 as he was in Game 3? And if so, I think the Knicks are in a world of trouble. And enjoyed the spot to close the hour with our friend Danny Parkins from Fox Sports 1. We will get to the Stanley Cup Final, Game 4 last night, and what I believe is the decision that Rod Brind'Amour will make that will impact who wins the Stanley Cup Final. That's coming up in about 20 minutes from now. We'll get to the National Football League later this hour as well. But joining us right now, friend of the show. And man, college football almost here. And big time in the news this week. And joining us to break it down, the great Brett McMurphy, who does an awesome job as the college football insider for our friends at On3. On3 is a tremendous platform breaking down college football. You should follow it on all social media platforms. And check out Brett on Twitter at Brett_McMurphy. My friend, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Hey, Nick. How you doing? Good luck tonight with your Knicks. It will. I think this thing's going to go 6 or 7, but I'm a college football guy, not an NBA guy. But good luck to your Knickerbockers, though.
What is your official prediction? I saw you say you're a huge sports fan. What do you think's going to happen tonight? Who do you think's going to win the series?
I think Spurs are the better team. I don't know if they're going to win the series, but we saw some of the old 70s. Let's not let one team, run away with this series, I think, in Game 3. But also, take one bad pass away, it's 1-1 going to New York for Game 3. So I think it goes 7. I think the Spurs are the better team. I think ultimately they'll win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks win it. Brunson, I had the privilege of watching them play a lot of college ball. The guy, I was going to say the kid, he's not a kid anymore. He's freaking incredible, You cannot stop him. He creates mismatches, stuff you already know about. But I thought he was vastly underrated coming out of college, and I'm thrilled to see how successful he's been in the NBA. But I think he's the X factor for the Knicks.
That's absolutely need him to have, even if he doesn't score 30-plus points, need him to be way more efficient tonight than he's been in the first 3 games of the series. But we should talk some college football here. superpower area of expertise. And let's get into it with the Brendan Sorsby situation, which has been a huge topic this week in the world of sports. We've done it on this show every day thus far this week. And just in case people missed it, Brendan Sorsby, the Texas Tech quarterback transfer, who's bandied as being potentially a first-round pick in the NFL draft next year, it goes to gambling rehab, admits to gambling a ton throughout his college career, including on Indiana when he was a Hoosier quarterback. And we thought that he was not going to play this year. And granted an injunction, he'll be suspended for the first 2 games of the year against cupcake opponents. And the world of college football, Brett, seems to have united, and it doesn't happen that often, around the idea that this is ridiculous, and it's not an anti-Sorsby thing, but how do you not get punished for this? So before we get into ramifications and what you think might happen, just like your opinion, Brett McMurphy's opinion on what's happened here with Sorsby is what and why?
I could do a little devil's advocate both ways on this, but the bottom line is, with all the cesspool and bad things involving professional and college sports, you could literally do anything on the face of the earth and still play if you're talented enough, except for gambling on your own sport. That is like the only thing that everybody agrees. If you do that, you're done. I mean, we've seen guys in the NFL, do unspeakable things, but if they're talented enough, you know what? We can find a pathway back. Same with college athletes. They're talented enough. Okay, we got the rape charge dropped to a misdemeanor. Okay, now you're eligible. Or you transfer to another school, and the school's like, oh, it's a fresh start here. We're not going to hold him accountable for all those different things. You could literally do anything. I always say the NFL would draft Charles Manson if he had the combine numbers. But this is the one thing where everybody was united that if you did this, it's a deal breaker. It was until they got a judge to rule the injunction, temporary injunction, and then now he's eligible to play. And now the Big 12 athletic directors had a call yesterday. I talked to several individuals on the call, and they said basically, there's 15 schools against this, and there's one school that is for it. And I will also say this: you saw Georgia and Nebraska's athletic directors come out and say, "Well, we're taking a stand on this. We're not going to play Texas Tech in the future in any games." Okay, great. You weren't going to play any games against them anyway, so get off your high horse. You had ADs within the Big 12 saying, "We're just going to boycott games against Texas Tech. We're going to talk about it and potentially not play them." Well, that's garbage, because then you're not going to get your TV media rights. So absolutely you're going to play them. You're not going to cancel games and suffer millions of dollars of losses because you think it's the right thing to do. I also would argue that there are a number of schools, I probably think you would agree with it, we think a lot alike, I believe, that Texas Tech is not the only school that would have made this appeal. I'm not saying all schools would have done it, but schools that are in similar situations that were desperate.
Can you put a
for
percentage on it? 95%, if not 100?
No. Well, I mean, again, is it a power school? Is it a non-power school? I don't think it's 100% by any way. I mean, there are certain schools that simply would not do that. But again, it was a certain set of circumstances where Texas Tech got to the point where this was their only quarterback. Like, if they had another option at quarterback, do I believe they would go to these lengths? Probably not. If Texas Tech was not a real, competitor, real chance to win the college football playoff, would they go to this extreme? Probably not. If this was a backup long snapper, would they have gone to these extremes? No, they probably would have said he couldn't have played. But if they did go through these extremes, would there be the outcry if it was a backup long snapper? I don't think so. Also, Texas Tech is, you mentioned, polarizing. Texas Tech has come out of nowhere the last couple of years because of NIL, because of Cody Campbell, the mega booster that's in charge of the Board of Regents. They paid over $1 million for a freaking softball player. That's fine. That's fair. That's legal now. It got them from nowhere to the College World Series in softball. It got them the college football playoff last year. They're spending literally double than everybody else in the Big 12. That's allowable. They have become this villain now, and now here's the latest thing. by breaking the one rule in college and professional sports you can't break, and now being allowed to play, and everybody's losing their freaking mind. So it's going to be fascinating to see what's happened. The NCAA is basically powerless in this. There's the Save College Sports Act they're trying to get through Congress. This actually may galvanize everybody to work together now that, like, look, we have to come up with something that covers everything in college athletics so that anytime somebody gets a decision they don't like, they can't run to their local judge. Oh, I didn't get my 9th year of eligibility, I'm going to sue the NCAA. And then a judge says, no, you should be able to play. Oh, this is because of mental health. My feelings are hurt. I should be able to do that. Okay, we'll give you this. You couldn't transfer. Oh, we'll get a judge. Now you can do this. So maybe this gets everybody going in the same page, or get them over the finish line, because the things that I would have talked to you about, I'm not even going to say 2-3 years ago. I'm going to say a year ago. You now have the leaders in college athletics saying the best option forward is we need to pay the players more. There needs to be collective bargaining, and players need to be employees. We never would have envisioned that a year ago, but that's where we are right now with college athletics.
There's so much to chew on there. And as you were talking, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to ask him this. And then, well, now I have to ask him this. And
something else.
Yeah.
I
think, Brett, the question, and maybe the way you ended the answer there, it was a little bit of an optimistic tone, right? And I'll acknowledge, I don't think of things in these terms, right? My opinion is, like, I don't think he should play, but also, like, I'm going to have a blast watching it. Like, that's how I look, and I come at it from the fan perspective.
And you'll probably take Texas Tech to win the Big 12 too.
So it's I've seen a lot of people, and it does kind of give me pause because I love college football, right? I have seen a lot of people, whether they're prominent analysts, former players, even just people, sports fans I respect, college football fans I respect, are taking like a pretty dark tone with this, in the sense that college football as we know it is dead. Like, we don't know where the sport is going. Is this the beginning of the end? Is there any truth or validity? Like, should sports fans be worried about where this is all headed with college football, or do you strike a more optimistic tone on the future of the sport?
Well, I think that the sport, as far as the games on the field, are going to be fine. That's always going to be there. But the thing that makes college football unique and crazy and wacky, and why we love it, all the weird stuff that happens, that could be going away, because it could become an NFL type model. And by that, I mean, it could be the top 20, 30, 40 teams, whatever. And basically it will be everybody plays each other within that group, which will be great for TV ratings. If every week you're getting Michigan, Alabama, USC, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame, I mean, it's going to be NFL-like numbers. But if you care about the entire scope of college football, and you care that the North Texases and the San Jose States, and heck, even some of the schools in the Big 12 or the ACC are going to become irrelevant or won't matter, or they're going to be a smaller division, kind of how we look at the non-power conference schools now, that the power schools will not play the smaller schools. There's no chance for App State to upset Michigan because those games won't be played. If you care about those things, and you care about the history, the Rose Bowl, all those things that make college football special, it's drastically going to change. But there's always going to be a product on the field. It just could limit the number of schools that are participating at the highest level in this. Will there be 3 different playoffs within Division I, because they're broken up into different categories? That's a very real possibility. Do we want to? If you're in the SEC keeps threatening to break away, which I think is laughable. They keep threatening it. I think I compare it to a 8-year-old telling their mom, "Give me a popsicle, or I'm gonna hold my breath till I die." Okay, well, go hold your breath. If you're the SEC, you want rules that everybody abides by. But to say that if everybody's not going to abide by your rules, you're going to break away. So does the SEC really want to have a 16-team SEC, and all they do is play SEC teams. And at the end of the year, we have a SEC playoff, and that's the SEC. You're the national SEC champion. No, you'd be bored to death playing it. It's like if the NFC East only played the NFC East teams and never played anybody else in the NFL. You'd be like, no, I want to play the Steelers. I want to play the Packers. I want to play somebody else. I want to play these schools I hate even more to see how I rate with these schools. So, again, I'm all over the map here, but college football, as we grew up to love it, all the weird, stupid stuff, 85 bowl games, all that stuff. Yes, that is going away. That is going to change drastically. We will still have the game. It will just look a lot different. If you like the underdog and everything that's great about college athletics, that is slowly but surely vanishing.
What is the percent chance, Brett, and this does not have to be like a prediction in pen, just curious your opinion, or maybe you want to go on record and say you think it's 100%. What is the percent chance that at some point I'm going to throw out an arbitrary time frame? It could be shorter, could be longer. I don't know. 3 to 5 years, let's call it. Maybe it's longer, maybe it's shorter. That college football starts to resemble more of an NFL model like you referenced, with the best 30 or 40 teams, and you get an Ohio State versus Alabama every week, and the little guy, so to speak, is no longer involved, or to a lesser capacity. What is the percent chance that reality comes to fruition?
I'd say that's 100%, and I think we will have a great idea around 2029, 2030, and that's when the conference TV deals expire, and usually whenever we have any major conference realignment, it's around the timing of when these media right deals are up. And so whenever those deals are up and you want to do a new deal, how do you increase revenue? Well, you add new members, you improve your conference. The ACC exit fee numbers decrease dramatically over the next few years. So a North Carolina, a Miami, a Virginia, a Clemson, Florida State, it'd be quicker to name the schools that won't be sought after, can get the hell out of Dodge if they have an invite to the Big Ten or the SEC. And if they do, then I think we do get to that 30, 40, power two structure, NFL type thing. 100% we will get there. Will it be in 2030? I don't know. That may be quick. It may be quicker than that. I don't know. But certainly in our lifetime, we will see this. And then kind of how the FCS is with the FBS. Will that be how the non-SEC Big Ten conferences will be viewed, or will they be viewed as the group of 8 or group of 6 or whatever, where they're just kind of the smaller schools, kind of how you have your power conferences now and your non-power conference schools? But absolutely, yeah, I'd say it's 100%, unless somehow they thread the needle with the Save College Sports and they're able to get everybody, all 130 plus football schools, under the same umbrella. But again, I don't think that's ever going to work, because that's the biggest complaint of the SEC right now. And the Georgia president and others, Nick Saban, has said this for a long time, when he wanted to have a staff with 40 assistant coaches, but the NCAA said you can only have 10. Like, well, we can afford to have 40. Why can't we have 40? Well, because San Jose State can't afford it, and Utah State. Why should Alabama, in this example, be limited because of what other schools can't do? I don't see how that ever changes. So I think, yeah, I'd say absolutely 100% it happens. I don't know, 2030, that's rather quick, but you're going to have the Amazons, the Netflix, all these guys enter the bidding for some of these TV rights. That could increase the value. How do you increase the value? Well, if you're the Big Ten, you go add USC, Washington, Oregon. The next go around, maybe you go add North Carolina, Miami. Obviously, Notre Dame's the golden goose for any conference. So it's going to happen in our lifetime. It's impossible to predict exactly when, though.
A couple more minutes with Brett McMurphy. He's really generous with his time. A college football national insider for our friends at On3. I'll close with one more question on the Brendan Sorsby situation, but I have to ask this, right? And you said something earlier that I agree with, and you and I have done enough of these spots together, right? I do think that you and I think alike, but we don't come from the same background, right? I'm a New Yorker. I'm from the Northeast. Now, I've been watching college football my entire life, but it is not pervasive in my culture as a sports fan the way it is in the Midwest, the way it is in the South, in many areas of the country, right? Like New York City, where I'm from, we loved Big East basketball when I was a kid. Now, I watched college football, but I didn't grow up rooting for Michigan, rooting for USC, rooting for Alabama. So I have a different perspective than you, Brett, and a lot of people around the country here. Because I hear this model you're talking about, and aside from the human scope of this and people that might not make as much money, I hear this and I think this sounds great. But I am guessing that the college football purist who grew up in an area where college football is a huge part of your life, period, and certainly your life as a sports fan, is not going to be happy if this is the way it goes. Am I correct in that assessment? And you can speak from your personal perspective or from the perspective of people that you know.
No, you laid it out perfectly because, if you're from the Northeast, you're probably like, well, who cares if the smaller schools aren't around? But if you grew up, I grew up in Oklahoma, so I grew up. There was a Southwest Conference, there was a Pac-8, there was a WAC conference, the first super conference,
and not WAC in the way young people use it, like a WAC. Yes.
Western Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
Schools like Utah, Arizona State. I mean, legitimate schools now, but back then they were new schools struggling or whatever. So, that stuff is going to go away. And I think long-time college football fans, we will miss that. We will miss these stupid bowl games. Although people complain there's too many bowl games, you still watch them. It's like the best comparison I can make is if you're not from Big Ten country or from the West Coast, you have no idea how important the Rose Bowl is. But if you are, you know exactly what that game meant to those conferences growing up. That was the end-all, be-all. That was nirvana. You would go play there January 1st, kick off, 2 o'clock local time, sunset over the mountains, the whole deal. But if you're not from those areas, you can't appreciate it. So I think it's kind of similar to the question you asked me. If you're not a overall college football fan and you're just a casual fan that comes in and you want to watch Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Michigan, Texas every week, you're probably like, I could care less if there's only 2 conferences. But I think the majority of college fans want the health of the overall landscape to survive. I don't think anybody, even the SEC and the Big Ten, I don't think they really want there to only be 30 or 40 relevant teams. I think we like that there's a lot of weird stuff going on and, all these different things that happen in college athletics. So I agree with you. Like I said, the TV numbers will be incredible, like nothing we've ever seen, but I do think there will be a lot of consequences, unintentional and intentional consequences if we did get to that. But I would hate to see it. I really would.
You've been generous. We're over 20 minutes here, and I really appreciate it. Final question for you. You kind of alluded to this earlier, but I want you to punch it home. And just to put a bow on the Sorsby stuff. So we have schools saying we will not play against Texas Tech. Sonny Dykes says the integrity of the sport is being compromised. Is anything going to actually happen in terms of schools punishing Tech in whatever way they feel is necessary? Or is this going to be business as usual this fall, people yelling at a cloud, but nothing's going to actually happen, and he's going to play the majority of the season, and the schedule is going to go on as scheduled, for lack of a better term?
So, Nick, I think 2 things could happen. One is, I think this is again, no inside information, but just reading the room. I think Texas Tech at some point realizes we can't play the kid. Just the amount of PR hit they've already taken, they would be, just ostracized if they did this. And they basically come out and they spin it however they want. We've decided, for the best of sport, Brendan's going to enter the supplemental draft. However they spin it, that he's not going to play. I think that's a possibility. But if they decide, you know what, middle finger to everybody, 2 middle fingers. He's going to play. Then I think, does the NCAA?
What's more likely in your opinion? What of those two scenarios is more likely in your opinion?
Man, I don't know. I just think the heat that Texas Tech has taken, ultimately, I think they would decide not to have him play. But again, I don't know. They've been, man, that's a tough one.
Can I ask the question like this? Can I ask the question? Can I ask the question like this? And pencil, not pen for the answer.
I'm not trying to avoid it. I'm not sure.
No, I totally understand. And that's why I want to phrase it like this, right? This is not you're planting your flag and making a prediction. But I really respect you. People really respect you. We respect your knowledge, how much you know about the sport. If I asked you, and I'm going to use the word guess. It's a guess right now.
Yeah.
Does Brendan Sorsby play quarterback for Texas Tech this season? Yes or no, and why?
Wow. 2 days ago, I would have said yes. Today, my guess is no. And I think either the Texas Tech has a conscience or the Big 12. The Big 12 can actually, who knows what the Big 12 can do? Can they rule him ineligible? I talked to somebody today. They said, what's going to keep a local judge, and I'm an Oklahoma State guy, what's going to keep a local judge in Payne County, where Oklahoma State's located, from ruling that anyone that bets on college football is ineligible to play against Oklahoma State and not allow them to play again? Like, I'm half joking, but in today's world, who knows?
Yeah, that's totally. I didn't think you were joking. I'm being serious. Like, I could see that happening. To your point.
No, but I don't know. Is that a joke or is that real? Nowadays, you don't know. I mean, there could be. Ultimately, the Big 12 presidents, they have to make a decision, and they had a couple of teams last year, Kansas State and Iowa State, that didn't play in a bowl game. There's nothing in the bylaws that says you have to play in a bowl game, but there is if you do things that are detrimental to the conference, you can be fined. They were fined $500,000 each for not playing in these bowl games. The Big 12 decided to do that. They didn't have to do that. Well, so can they issue a similar type punishment to Texas Tech? Absolutely. I've talked to a number of people. They don't care if they fine him $100 million. They don't. It's not a money deal. That wouldn't appease anybody. It's simply him not playing because he violated the one rule that everyone thought you couldn't violate. And the fact that Texas Tech, which, was against, all this gambling stuff up until the point that their quarterback was now, front and center. And now they're like, well, the judge appealed that we can't do anything. Texas Tech still has a chance here to do the right thing. I don't want to, I was ripping everybody for being, take holier than thou. So I don't want to sound like now suddenly I'm doing that. But Texas Tech can do the right thing, to quote the great Spike Lee. They can keep him on the team and just not play him. How about that?
Yeah.
The judge can't force you to play the kid. He's on the team. We just didn't play him. Would they do that? I don't know.
I heard a rumor that if Sorsby doesn't play, there's actually going to be a lawsuit, and the Chiefs are going to be involved, and Patrick Mahomes is going to come back and play games for Texas Tech this season. He'll play on Saturday, and then he'll play on Sunday for Kansas City. Who the hell knows what's going to happen, Brett? This was, thank you for the time. Very generous. We are very much up against... Yeah, you're the best, dude. Thank you. Enjoy the summer. We'll catch up with you down the line here, I hope, this summer.
All right. Go Knicks. See you, buddy.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Go Knicks. Look, it's a long interview, I understand. We're up against the commercial break. That is not good stuff. Great stuff from the great Brett McMurphy. We're talking Stanley Cup final on the other side on a Wednesday.
a stop by Hart. Oh, my goodness. Now out in front, Stahl. He scores while falling down.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com, progressivecommercial.com. The voice of Sean McDonough, who has been magnificent, along with Ray Ferraro, calling the Stanley Cup Final games on ESPN and ABC, as Jordan Stahl, 37-year-old Jordan Stahl, potting home the winner last night with about 14 minutes to go in the third period, breaking a 3-3 tie, giving the Hurricanes a 4-3 lead. Nikolai Ehlers would have a ridiculous empty net goal from like the complete other side of the ice that got an advantageous bounce off the boards and went directly into the net to give Carolina the final margin of victory at 5-3. Bunch of different talking points coming out of this game. First thing that has to be said, series rules. It's unbelievable. And I'm not doing the, diehard hockey fan thing here, who takes the opportunity whenever necessary or whenever the opportunity is there, right? Whenever anyone's listening. And I don't blame them for this. Look, for example, behind me on my set here, I have the 1998 Japanese role-playing game Xenogears for PlayStation 1 that I bought when I was in Tokyo in 2019. Whenever anyone tells me they like video games or the first thing I say is you need to get this game. It's the best game ever. Why don't you have it? Why haven't you heard of it? Why haven't you played it yet? I understand hockey fans that do that. I'm not one of those fans, so I'm not trying to lecture or beat you over the head as someone. I don't love the hockey regular season. I don't, but I love the hockey playoffs. You're a big sports fan. You like this show. You are doing yourself a disservice if you're not watching these games. It is a thrill ride from start to finish. We detailed it yesterday on the show with Greg Wyshynski of ESPN, and I told you on Monday, the stats that prove that this has been an epic Stanley Cup final, and we got another great game last night. Carolina leads 3-1 at the end of the first, and literally at the gun at the end of the first period, Vegas scores, but a half a second after the period had ended, no goal. Vegas, of course, comes back to tie it because no lead is safe in the Stanley Cup final. And then the 37-year-old captain of Carolina, Jordan Stahl, Eric's brother, Mark's brother, Jared's brother, the Stahl brothers, a long line of siblings in the world of sports, the Pargos, the Antetokounmpos, the Kelseys, the Currys, and most notably, the Plumleys. 37-year-old Jordan Stahl becomes the first player since Hall of Famer Mike Bossy of the dynastic Islanders teams that won 4 straight Stanley Cups from 80 to 83. In the 1982 Stanley Cup final, when the Islanders swept the Vancouver Canucks, becoming the first New York team to beat Vancouver in a Stanley Cup final, 12 years later, the Rangers would have their turn. Bossy, in that Stanley Cup final, became the first and only player to score a goal in the first 4 games of a Cup final. Jordan Stahl, with his goal last night, has now equaled Hall of Famer Mike Bossy with that feat. So it's an incredible game, an incredible series, ripe with storylines. And because I said it on the show yesterday, I talked about it with Greg Wyshynski, right? I felt like Carolina needed to start Brandon Bussi in net. After Freddie Anderson got pulled in Game 3, and was he concussed or was he not concussed? And Bussi stops the penalty shot. And they didn't lose in double overtime in Game 3 because Bussi let up a bad goal, or even a good goal. It was a ridiculously lucky bounce off the backboards, off of his skate and in. And Anderson had been brutal up until that point. So I felt like starting Bussi was a no-brainer for Carolina, and credit to Rod Brindamore for doing the right thing. Now, the thing that was a little surprising last night was that Anderson wasn't even active. He was a healthy scratch for the game. And the way that Brindamore phrased it was, he's healthy, like, so he's not concussed, there's no lingering effects, but that he needed a reset. Throughout the regular season, and I don't want to come across as someone like, I know this because I read about it now. Like, I'm not invested in every game the Carolina Hurricanes are playing in the regular, so I don't want to be disingenuous. Anderson in the regular season didn't start more than 2 games in a row once the entire year. Carolina shuttling goalies in and out. They were the best team in the Eastern Conference this year. They were awesome. It clearly worked. Anderson, up until this point, had started 15 consecutive games in the playoffs. Feels like a lot. And Rod Brindamore felt like he needed a blow. He needed a rest. So take a listen here. I thought this was interesting. So Bussy, who, to be fair, was not like prime Martin Brodeur last night, like gave up 3 goals, but played well enough to win, spoke with ESPN's Emily Kaplan, and we've pulled about 5 seconds of this, the 5 most interesting seconds for you. Here's Emily Kaplan of ESPN with Brandon Bussy post-game last night.
All right, and we're going to have you again Thursday night in Raleigh. Do you hope you get the start?
Talk to Rod.
It was a great, and if you had to see it to really appreciate the interaction, Emily Kaplan absolutely has to ask that question. And Bussy, it felt like for a second, especially if you see him, like almost answered, like, what's he going to be like? No, I don't want to play. And caught himself, was like, you need to ask Rod. Ask the coach. I'm not answering this question. So the question now, who starts game 5? Do you go back to Anderson with the thought being he had his rest and now we feel like he's going to come back way better? Or do you stick with the guy that won you game 4? Now, I felt very confident, in my opinion, yesterday that starting Bussy in game 4 was the right move. I don't feel as confident in the opinion I'm going to give you right now. If it were me, I would start Bussy again. There's 3 games left potentially in the season, maybe 2. I don't think you can afford to screw around here. I also don't have Rod Brindamore's knowledge of how this might play out. Maybe Anderson's going to come back in and be prime Patrick Waugh. It's going to be Ken Dryden, Grant Fuhr in a big spot. Maybe that's what it's going to be. I don't know. It's a roll of the dice if you do that. I'd stick with what I know. But I'll tell you, whatever decision this is, I think is going to swing the Cup final. Especially if it's Freddie Anderson. Because if it's Anderson, here are the 2 things I'll ask. If it's Freddie Anderson, given the setup that I just gave you, would it surprise you if Anderson was amazing and the Canes won the Cup? And he shuts down Vegas? Would that really be shocking? I mean, I guess it would be shocking in the sense there have been 1 million goals scored in the series, but let's say he plays better and Carolina wins. Would that be surprising? Wouldn't surprise me. Would it also, yes or no, be surprising if he starts game 5 and gets shelled? I don't think that would be surprising either. So I'm telling you, I'd start Bussy, but I don't say it with a ton of confidence. And I believe that at the conclusion of the series, we will look back at this decision, whatever the decision is from Rod Brindamore, and say that it either won or lost his team a Stanley Cup. On the other side, I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe we'll do a blind ranking. We got a lot of National Football League to do as well. So I'm going to talk about it with the crew. Whatever it is, it'll be awesome. So stick around here to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
I think the toughest part is, again, I was there for 7 years. I know I had two different, offensive systems, but at the same time, you're getting all those reps. Now having to split reps, it's me already being behind, not getting the amount of reps that, you would typically want a guy to get learning an offense.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Today, BetMGM players will receive an NBA Finals odds boost token. To use the token, add a wager made up of NBA playoff bets to your bet slip and activate that token. If you win the wager, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today and please gamble responsibly. The voice coming back from break, that of the newest quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, Kyler Murray. I started the show today teasing that I would get into the one team in pro sports above all others, and a lot of them are, that is wasting their time. That team is the Minnesota Vikings. The fact that Kyler, this idea that there's a quarterback competition in Minnesota is ridiculous, and the Vikings need to end this facade right now. No one believes them. Why would you? They made their decision that Kyler's going to start when they signed him. It's obvious to anyone with a functional brain that Kyler Murray is going to win this competition. Forget about win the competition. There is no competition. Kyler Murray is going to start for the Vikings in week 1. Plus 525 to win the NFC North at BetMGM. I like those odds of Kyler's the quarterback, and he will be the quarterback. Why would J.J. McCarthy be getting first-team reps? What is the purpose of it? What's the purpose of it? The Minnesota Vikings, and I think most of us have been in a situation like this, or maybe we've been the J.J. McCarthy in this situation. I don't know. But this is you're dating a girl. She's your girlfriend. You have chosen her, right? You're not married, but she's your girlfriend. You've chosen her. Or whatever. You're hooking up, but you're not seeing anybody else. And then you meet somebody else that you like more. Because there are issues with you and the first girl. Maybe you don't like her friends. Or maybe she bothered, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You have decided that you would like someone different. And you start seeing somebody else. But instead of doing the right thing and cutting it off with the first girl, you string her along. Because it comes from a good place maybe. You feel bad for her, but you're stringing her along. The Vikings are stringing J.J. McCarthy along right now. And the stakes are way higher than just here's a 20-something in a relationship, right? Meeting someone on a dating app. It's a $1 billion organization here in a $1 billion industry that's trying to win games. And they're wasting time letting J.J. McCarthy get first-team reps. They've already made the decision that, just to use the expression, McCarthy is not the girl for them, if you understand the analogy I've just given, right? They've chosen Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's telling you he wants more reps to get fully up to speed in this offense. Here's a novel concept. Give him the reps. He's going to be the starter. It's obvious. Start acting like it. Forget about this competition. There is no competition. Kyler Murray is going to be the starting quarterback of this team. And just on McCarthy, I will be in the minority on this, I'm sure. I actually feel a little bad for him. He was on record saying, quote, everything has played out exactly how I wanted it in terms of his situation in Minnesota. There's no way he believes that. Or maybe he does. You wanted to be a first-round pick, miss your entire rookie season due to injury, not play well in your second year and get replaced? You want that? I feel bad for him because I think he believes that. I'm not trying to bury his career at all. I'm not trying to say he's not a good guy, that he can never be good. Just that, for right now, for the Minnesota Vikings, enough. Stop stringing him along. Give Kyler Murray the reps. If you're serious about winning games this season. Final hour, power hour on the other side. We got more NFL to get to, including Aaron Donald. Bets at the end of the show. We will start the hour, though, talking with our Odyssey LA teammate, Derek Fisher.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. Final hour. Power hour. You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and you. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. Coming up about 20 minutes from now, we will get into the possibility of Aaron Donald playing football this year for the Los Angeles Rams and what it will mean for the rest of the NFL. And there is a delicious tie-in to that. I believe there is a star quarterback right now in the NFL. A star. Like the way Cody Rhodes used to say, Stardust, star. Quarterback. Who I could easily see playing elsewhere next year. And I have good reason to believe it. I will share that with you coming up in the next segment here on the show, and we will close the program with all of our bets. But yesterday, after the show went off the air, we had the opportunity, because we can't do it live. Do it live! We can't do it live. Shout out to Bill O'Reilly. Chaminade graduate, just like me. We can't do it live because we're on the air at the same time. I was joined, by co-host of D-Fish and Decker, which is the morning show on the new All Sports Odyssey channel in Los Angeles, 97.1 The Fan in LA, which is directed by celebrity brand manager and program director, friend of ours, Andrew Williams. So Cody Decker and five-time NBA champion Derek Fisher do the morning show, D-Fish and Decker, 6 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, 97.1 The Fan in Los Angeles. If you are an LA sports fan, keep listening to us, but also check them out because they're awesome. And I had the opportunity to be joined yesterday by Derek Fisher to talk a host of events, including, obviously, the NBA Finals. Take a listen. Joining us right now, live on the show, five-time NBA champion, and one of my, now I don't often get to say, NBA champion teammate of mine, not because I played professional basketball, which if you've ever seen me, I obviously did not, but he's doing an amazing job right now with friend of the show, Cody Decker, 97.1 The Fan in Los Angeles, the new all-sports station out in LA under the Odyssey umbrella. Mornings, 6 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, D-Fish and Decker. And if you're a sports fan, you know who I'm talking about, the great Derek Fisher joining us here on You Better You Bet. D-Fish, welcome to the show. How's it going, my friend? Congratulations on your show with Cody.
No, I appreciate it, Nick, man. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we are officially teammates, being under the Odyssey umbrella, and I'm operating in your world now. So I need teammate advice from you more so than the other way around.
Well, you have you call me anytime you want, and I'm happy to give you that advice. I want to start with this now. Look, you don't become a champion athlete like you are, even like a semi-successful professional athlete, without being able to withstand conditions like getting up super early to host a morning show, right? So you're on at 6 a.m. local time. What time does Derek Fisher get up? And I'm sure you've gotten up early a lot in the past, right? To train, you won five championships, right? What time do you get up in the morning, and how has this transition been for you, if there has been one at all, doing a morning show now out in Los Angeles?
Yeah, that's been the biggest adjustment, to be honest. Definitely a lot of training days that were super early in the morning, but not like 4:20 a.m. early. That's basically what time I'm getting up now. I'm trying to be in the car within 20 to 25 minutes of waking up, which isn't easy for me because normally I like to kind of give myself some time to get the engines running.
You want to ease into the day. I used to say that to my friend Raja Bell. Ease into the day. That was always my
thing. So I normally like, to have some space between alarm clock and like having to be on, because that's different. And so, but I've gotten used to waking up at around 4:15, 4:20, and knowing that over that next hour, obviously waking up, getting going, making sure I'm packed up for the day, and getting to the studio early enough for us to huddle and kind of cover what we're going to go through to start the morning, make sure we're on the same page. It's been great to work with Cody, getting to know him. And then we get rocking by 6 a.m. So it's been an adjustment. First couple weeks where I still was confused at like, why am I up this freaking early?
Right.
But I've gotten used to it, man, and kind of learned how to also map out the rest of my day. And then, of course, making sure I'm in bed at a reasonable time at night.
Well, that's what I want to hit you with next, right? Because I think people that don't do this for a living can't understand how difficult that is, especially right when there's a game at night and you have to be able to talk about it in the morning. So aside from the feeling that you get when the alarm hits in the morning, what has been the biggest adjustment to Derek Fisher's life as a result of this schedule? Obviously on the air at 6 a.m. Pacific time for D Fish and Decker, 97.1 The Fan in LA.
Yeah, I mean, most of, even with early wake ups as an athlete and as a coach, it's different when you are waking up to verbally engage, with an audience and with fans and with people at 6 a.m. As an athlete, maybe you get to the gym by 6 a.m., to lift weights. Maybe you get to the football field or the track at 6 a.m. to do conditioning, or you get to the gym and shoot shots. But in those spaces, you're turning on music, you're zoning out, you're internally, having a conversation.
Now the game starts at 6 a.m., right? It's not practice at 6 a.m.
Right.
The game starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah, like you have to be, locked in and ready to go. You have to bring the energy. People that are listening to you or watching you that early in the morning, like you have to give them a reason to want to listen, to want to watch, to want to engage. And so they don't want to see you dragging tail. And you expect them to have some energy as they get ready to get their day started. So it's definitely different than what I'm accustomed to, but part of this entire experience and choice and being a part of this journey with 97.1 The Fan and what Odyssey is to kind of get outside of my comfort zone, to do things that I haven't done before, give it a try. If it works out and we plan to have this thing work out at a high level, great. But if it doesn't, you can't go through life not having tried things and giving yourself an opportunity to see what works best for you.
Can I be honest with you for a second?
Of course.
Now I will admit, I was a tremendous hater of you guys, of your great Lakers teams. Now I'm a Knicks fan. It's not like there was a great rivalry there, but you guys. And Phil Jackson was and he was the Bulls coach, like when I was growing up with Michael beating my Knicks. Yeah. I hated you guys. And I'll throw you a curveball here because I actually think you have one of the great shots in the history of the NBA playoffs or regular season. And I actually think, so when I found out we were having you on the show, literally the first thing I thought was, I need to ask Derek Fisher about this shot. I actually think it doesn't get talked about enough. And I mean that sincerely. And real ball knowers will know what I'm about to reference here. So 2004, you guys are in, was a pretty good second round series against the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah. So Tim Duncan in San Antonio makes this insane, fall away jumper from the elbow to put the Spurs up 4/10 of a second to go. They draw up a play for you. 4/10 of a second, you make this crazy shot and run off the court. I still have it seared into my mind, the whole image. I was so mad that you guys won because I hated the Lakers so much. But as the years go on, I got respected, obviously. It's a tremendous shot. Do you feel like that shot does not get the just due it deserves, being one of the great shots in the history of the NBA postseason?
No, I mean, I feel like it does or has. The play wasn't drawn up for me. No play is drawn up for you when you're on a team with Kobe and Shaq, that you are not the first option. So it just worked out that I was kind of left with open space to run to. and Gary Payton made a great pass and knocked down the shot. But for a long time, I was just telling another radio guy, Craig Carton, this recently, that for a long time, the shot got talked about. People asked me about it, but I hated remembering it because we lost in the finals that year to the Pistons. And it kept reminding me of us not winning the championship. And yeah, it was a great moment, but it was in the conference semis. It wasn't in the finals, and we didn't win the championship that year. And so it literally took me some years to kind of appreciate that you can celebrate a moment, in a season without it having to always end up, winning championships. Like, it's okay for other people to win championships, and and I had to learn to accept that after a while.
Do you mean that, or do you not mean that? I feel like you don't mean it, which is okay.
I said it out loud.
There's no way you mean that, and that's okay that you don't mean it. There's no way.
I mean it. I do, because it's not realistic to think that you're literally going to win a championship every single year. You think that
kind of came close with you guys.
I mean, we definitely tried, but it's okay that other people will get the opportunity, because it also increases your appreciation for when you do get to do it, and for you as a Knicks fan, like all the years that it hasn't happened to be where you are now, it's like, imagine what you're going to feel like. And you wouldn't feel this way if like they won every year. So it's you have to accept that it's not going to be there every year.
I'd like to talk to you about your stint as head coach of the Knicks, not in terms of like how it went, but the way I'll frame it is this. And like, I'll speak for you here. And if I say anything out of turn, please feel free to correct me. I've been watching the Knicks my whole life. This has been, for wide swaths of my life, an exceptionally toxic organization from ownership on down. And it seems like the last however many years since Leon Rose came over, that James Dolan is he's been out of the way and he's not meddling as much. And the point of this is to say, I don't know, Derek D-Fish, coach, if anyone could have succeeded in that time frame, and a lot of people didn't in that time frame with the Knicks. When you look at the way this organization is run now, where it seems like James Dolan's gotten out of the way, do you kind of like recognize the organization that this is now from when it was when you were the head coach of this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can appreciate like how different things are now, not just because like I don't think any team owner necessarily gets out of the way, like they own the team. But I think when you hire the right people and you give them room to do the jobs that you hire them to do, there is an ability for things to align in a more effective way. And of course, in the NBA especially, it really all comes down to your ability to put together the right rosters. And then, yes, there are certain coaches that will fit best to coach said roster. And I think the Knicks have done a good job, Leon, William Wesley, like collaborating, working together, kind of getting away from, I think for a long time, the Knicks swung for the fences for the big superstar free agents, because that was kind of historically what moved the needle in the NBA for a long time. And that approach was creating, disappointment, frustration, et cetera. And I think in recent years, it's been more about finding the right guys and building a team in New York full of guys that have New York City type characteristics, hardworking, blue collar, intangibles, like diving on the floor for loose balls, setting great screens. Like, it's not necessarily about, being fancy or entertaining per se. It's just about getting the job done. And Mike Brown's the right type of coach to coach those type of teams as well. Jalen Brunson is the perfect guy to kind of be the cornerstone foundational piece of a team like that. So, yeah, sure, there are some coaches that were more experienced than I was that, yeah, they could have done a better job coaching the team, sure. But our rosters, our team wasn't set up to win 60 games in the NBA at that time. Like, that's just not where we were. And that's fine. We were making some progress, but it was definitely going to be some years in the making to get to where they are now.
That was a very diplomatic answer to the question. I will say it. You were not given a lot to work with. So I'll say that. I won't be diplomatic, so you can be diplomatic. All right. Let's talk the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, my Knicks did not get the job done in Game 3 and still up in the series. I would have signed up for that before the series started. In your estimation, Derek, Game 3, more about what went right for Victor Wembanyama, Steph Castle, and the Spurs, and more about what went wrong for the New York Knicks?
Great question. I think it's more about what went right for the Spurs. I don't think the Knicks dramatically played worse basketball necessarily. I think the Spurs learned a few lessons around how they needed to play for 4 quarters as opposed to 2.5 to 3 quarters. I know there's been there's been a lot of conversation around the foul disparity or free throw shooting disparity in the second half. I thought the Spurs contributed to that. Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper were relentless in their attack on getting to the paint, getting to the basket. There were a lot of fouls not called for both teams, to be honest. But I think it was more about the Spurs kind of meeting the moment finally. They missed a couple of those moments in Game 2 for sure. And then in Game 1, obviously the Knicks went on the big run and took control of that game, late as well. And so the Spurs aren't here by accident. They're a really good basketball team. They figured out a way to win one game. They had to win the game. And now, the series is a little more competitive, but the Knicks still have the leverage and they're still in the advantageous place. Everybody would want to be 2-up and 2-1 in the NBA Finals, regardless of how you get there.
Do you think the Knicks are going to win the championship in 30 seconds? Who's going to win the finals?
I originally picked the Spurs to win. I thought the team coming out of the West was just going to be a more prepared team to really win the NBA Finals. I think it's the Knicks' time to do the way it looks, the way it feels. Even last night's game, you're still 2 or 3 possessions away from winning that game. I just think this is the moment where all the passion that the fans feel, what the organization has experienced and been through, it feels like it's time and the Knicks are going to win it. That's what it feels like to me.
I knew I liked you. Final question. I maybe you'll appreciate this. So yesterday on the show, I was talking about Victor. I don't think Victor Wembanyama is a dirty player, but he has a couple dirty plays in this postseason, right? And the analogy that I drew is to one of your old teammates, right, in Shaquille O'Neal, where Shaq, obviously, you don't need me to tell you this, you played with him, right, was getting fouled constantly because, what are you supposed to do with this guy? He's bigger and stronger than, he's the best player. What are you supposed to do? He got fouled all the time. And what I said was, if Shaq responded the way that Wemby's been responding, he would have literally killed people. If Shaq elbowed Naz Reid in the throat, Naz Reid would have died on the court. So, I don't think Wemby's a dirty player per se, but these are absolutely dirty plays. Where do you stand right now on Victor Wembanyama and some of these extracurriculars that he's got going on in this postseason?
Yeah, no, you're right in terms of players, especially the big guys. They tend to kind of take a lot of the additional punishment and physicality that doesn't always get the whistle. Even sometimes when it gets a whistle, it's just still extra. And Shaq had his moments where, he had to let people know, I'm not going to just continue to take all of this punishment without responding in some way. And yeah, you could consider certain plays to be dirty, but from that person's perspective, I've been dealing with dirty for months now. And this is my one time to respond to this dirty play that's been happening for months. The play last night, was an open hand push to the back of the head, which is in the backyard, in the front yard in New York City would probably lead to some different outcomes. But in a basketball game, pushing is happening all the time, some in a more disrespectful way than others. I think that was disrespectful, not necessarily dirty. They were squared off. He didn't elbow him in the back of the head, elbow him in the back of the neck, but the disrespect was high. Like, you don't mush a grown man in a sporting event, regardless of what's happening. And but I don't think any of us, especially guys that are not 7 feet tall, know what it feels like to be one of those guys and take all of the extra stuff that they are expected to take. So my hope is that nothing happens that leads to anybody for either team ending up ejected or suspended for a game for extra stuff, because that's just going to rob everybody of this great finals that seems to be unfolding.
Actual final question. Was the officiating more one-sided last night or in some of your guys' games against the Kings in 2002? I'm kidding. I want this relationship to get off to a great start. And this was really fun, and I loved having you here on the show.
Hey, it's a fair question. It happens.
Listen, you guys were the best team. It's fine.
Yeah, you got to figure out how to win the games no matter what. You can't lose games on your home court. I don't care who's officiating.
100%. Kings had a million chances. You know what? Hey, Vlade Divac, don't tip the ball out to Robert Horry to win the game. Don't do that, buddy. Great job. D. Fish and Decker, mornings 97.1, The Fan in Los Angeles, 6 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. Sincerely appreciated. Keep killing it. We'll do this again.
Thanks, Nick.
I enjoyed that interview with Derek Fisher yesterday after the show. Again, D. Fish and Decker, weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. Pacific time on 97.1 The Fan in Los Angeles. I think he's going to be great at this. And the insinuation there is that he's not already great, but when you have accomplished the type of stuff that he's accomplished in his life and career and can poke fun at yourself, and I'll take everybody inside, my, sick, warped, and demented mind for a second. So at the end of the interview, I'm literally thinking, am I going to bring up the officiating in the Lakers-Kings series here? Should I do this or not? And the way I decided to do it was to say it and then immediately be like, I'm just kidding. I don't know how he's going to react. Is he going to get pissed about it? I don't know. And I say it, and I go, listen, I'm just joking. I want the relationship to go off to a good start. He could have just smiled. He could have said nothing. He's like, no, it's a fair point to bring up. And it is. And I appreciate his honesty. And I really enjoyed that interview with Derek Fisher. Again, D. Fish and Decker, morning 6 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, 97.1 The Fan in Los Angeles. Take a break. Up next, is Aaron Donald really coming back to the Rams? And if so, how screwed is the rest of the NFL? That and more next.
And the fact that it is even a possibility in June tells me that I think there's every possibility it will become more real in July. And I think if and when they present a plan to him as to how he would be used, I think it's more likely than not that he'll be back.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
All right, that is the voice of ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter on his podcast. He tweeted out this link yesterday, and it made waves, as you might imagine. Saying, the money quote there, more likely than not, he'll be back. And we're not talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're talking about Aaron Donald. That Aaron Donald is more likely than not, and it's Adam Schefter saying this. How many times has Adam Schefter been wrong in his career? And if Adam Schefter felt that this were not going to happen, do you think he would say more likely than not? Now, he couches it a little bit. More likely than not is not 100%, but he's basically saying it's going to happen without saying it. So let's talk about what happens if and when he comes back. And I want to take a second here to talk about a game. Now, I think, at least, most people are familiar now with the NBA game 82-0. And in case you're unfamiliar with it, search 82-0 on your phone. It's like you try and construct from different eras. Like there's like a roll of the dice. You get a team and an era, and you could try to construct a team that goes 82-0. It is fantastically addicting and is really, 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 really fun. If you're a big basketball fan, right? There's an NFL version of the game that the NFL is my favorite sport. I was just telling the guys in the break about it. It's called 17. So if you search 17-0 NFL game, this will come up. It is awesome. I mean, for someone, you love the National Football League, you will be like, I'm like addicted to this game. I love it. I think it's marvelous. Highest recommendation. Whenever I get the LA Rams, so it's like basically what'll happen is there'll be a roll of the dice, which is basically whatever. Like the computer will cycle through teams and you land on a team at random. Whenever I land on the Rams, the first guy I choose is Aaron Donald. It's like you land on the Giants, you pick Lawrence Taylor. You land on the Niners, you pick Jerry Rice. You land on the Patriots, you pick Tom Brady. Aaron Donald is in that ilk of player. If it's true that Aaron Donald returns to the National, he's 35 years old. I doubt he would be a full-time player in terms of, like, I don't think he's going to play, all three downs an entire game. Let's call him the greatest situational pass rusher in the history of the league, potentially, rushing from the interior. Consider this. If Aaron Donald comes back, he will be on a defensive line that includes Myles Garrett. How many players in the history of professional football can you say, if a defensive lineman, how many in the history of football can you say, if they played on a defensive line with Myles Garrett, that Myles Garrett would not be the best player on that defensive line? In the history of football, how many names? Now, LT was more of an outside, like outside linebacker edge rusher, but let's pass rushers. Reggie White? Would you take Bruce Smith over Myles Garrett? It's close, right? Myles Garrett's going to the Hall of Fame. Who do you take over him? Who? You take Aaron Donald over Myles Garrett. Now, maybe present day, Garrett's a better player, and Aaron Donald's been retired for 3 years. But again, Myles Garrett is a first ballot Hall of Famer when he retires, and he's still not as good as Aaron Donald. And even if Aaron Donald, who I believe that Aaron Donald sits in rarefied air does not do it justice. Aaron Donald is basically like at the end of Return of the Jedi when you have like the hologram like Obi-Wan and Yoda and Anakin Skywalker. In this make-believe land that I've invented, it's like the hologram of Jerry Rice, Aaron Donald, and Lawrence Taylor, and Jim Brown, and like Tom Brady. That's the air that Aaron Donald breathes. That's where he's at. He's one of like the 5 or 6 greatest players ever at any position in the history of the National Football League. Fair or unfair? Fair or unfair to say that? So let's say he comes back. Let's say he's 80% of the 6th greatest football player ever. Do you know how good that is? Do you understand? Now, I'm going to bring up, because I want to make sure. I'm reasonably confident I know all of them, but just to make sure I don't miss one. Are you ready? Braden Fisk, Poona Ford, Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Nate Landman, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Cam Curl, Cam Kinchins, Quentin Lake. Plus Myles Garrett, plus Aaron Donald. This whole offseason, and I don't regret it, because, we should, as human beings, change our minds when new information presents itself. You can't get caught defending something that is no longer defensible, and maybe there was a time when you could defend it, or you could have an opinion, but then new information presents itself, and you're not stupid for changing your mind. You're smart for changing your mind, right? We can't be stuck in our priors. This whole offseason, I've loved the Niners. I've loved the Dallas Cowboys. If Aaron Donald comes back, of course, the Rams could not get there. Donald could be a shell of himself. God forbid Garrett gets hurt. Stafford gets hurt. Forget about it. Puka, Devontae. I do think it's a little bit of a flimsy roster in terms of its construction, stars and scrubs. And the Alaric Jackson situation, yes, we'll see how it plays out. But, domestic violence, he's been suspended already by the league. Who knows what's going to happen here? And that's a huge piece. Left tackle with a right-handed, 38-year-old quarterback with back issues. It's a huge piece to potentially pull out of the Jenga tower. But we're going to start soon here, if this happens, reaching the point with the Rams where the holes that we poke in them are the same holes that you could poke in any team, right? So let's say you wanted to make a case against Kansas City. I'm making this up. Well, what if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt? Yeah, they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed. What happens for Dallas if Dak Prescott gets hurt? They're screwed. What if Josh Allen gets hurt? They're screwed. What if Drake May gets hurt? The Patriots are screwed. So we can play the injury game with any team and it'll be applicable and appropriate. So you could certainly say, well, what if Stafford gets hurt? Of course. What if Puka, what something happens to Puka? Of course, we could do that with any team. What if Justin Jefferson gets hurt? Vikings are probably not winning anything without Jefferson, right? So outside of scenarios that none of us can predict, and maybe you want to say because of Stafford's advanced age and his prior physical issues and the fact that last August we were having serious and real concern about his availability for last season, maybe you want to say it's more likely with Stafford. Or maybe it's more likely that Devontae continues to break down. Or Puka was in rehab earlier this year, and I don't say that to joke. And maybe, maybe there's more of a chance it happens with the Rams. But you know what? It can happen to any team. And if we're going to assume health, and we're going to assume that guys are good to go, Stafford will be there at the end, Garrett will be there at the end, Puka will be there in the end, Aaron Donald will be there in the end. They don't have to win. Crazy things happen all the time. Guys get hurt, etc. Just water gun to your head, pick the Super Bowl champion. How are you not going to pick them? And I don't want to pick them. I want to pick the Niners. They're making it very difficult not to pick the Rams. And that's a great job by McVay and a great job by Les Snead and that entire team. What do you say? You do such a good job that you're going to coax one of like the 6 greatest football players ever out of retirement? Wow. Incredible. Great job by them. No notes, 10 out of 10. You bet on this Wednesday. Now, the delicious tie-in that I have teased as it regards Aaron Donald. In the waning moments of Super Bowl 56, Aaron Donald saved the game and ultimately won a championship for the Los Angeles Rams when he affected and impacted Joe Burrow, who had T. Higgins open on the play, impacted a 4th down play that could have resulted in the Bengals winning the Super Bowl, and instead, the Rams won Super Bowl 56, 23-20. And we remember Donald's celebration immediately pointing to his ring finger. Pretty cool to win a Super Bowl championship. That play denied not only the Cincinnati Bengals a Super Bowl championship, where they are 0-3 in Super Bowls, and you can make the case that if literally like 1 or 2 plays goes differently, in all 3 they are 3-0. Losing to Joe Montana and the Niners in 81. Losing with Boomer Esiason, our Odyssey teammate, with Joe Montana to John Taylor in the waning moments of Super Bowl 23, 20-16. And then obviously losing Super Bowl 56, 23-20 to Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, and the Rams. So it didn't just deny the Bengals a Super Bowl championship. It denied Joe Burrow a Super Bowl championship. And we talked about it at the time. You know, there's no guarantee that you ever get back there. Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl in year 2, the same way Dan Marino did. And the Dolphins got absolutely obliterated in Super Bowl 19 by the San Francisco 49ers, and Marino never made it back. Got back to the AFC Championship game the next year, just like Burrow did the next year. They lost on the road in Kansas City. Bit of a different story for Miami, yakking it away at home against the New England Patriots and the coach that we recently lost, rest in peace, Raymond Berry. No guarantee Burrow ever gets back there. Now, everything, and I've talked about this a lot this offseason, all you need to do, and Joe Burrow is a pretty careful guy. And after, the pick, and look, he's a very handsome guy. I'm straight. Straight men I think should be able to admit if another guy's good looking. Joe Burrow's very handsome. And he became like globally famous, maybe not in the way that like Odell Beckham's globally famous, but like he shows up to Arrowhead in that jacket and it goes viral and it's iconic, right? Since then, how many times do you see Joe Burrow in the public eye? Do you have any idea who Joe Burrow's dating? Does anyone know what he does off the field? He has become pretty manicured and pretty sanitized and really careful in how he presents himself. For whatever the reason, I'm not criticizing or praising him. It's a statement of fact. So if that's true, what I just said, and I believe it is, it should go noted that whenever given the opportunity, microphone in his face, he chooses to say something to the effect of, the team needs to be better. And he expects more. Right? How many times have we talked about this over the years? Okay. So the Bengals haven't made the playoffs in 3 years. Last offseason, Burrow obviously wanted them to re-sign Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They did. This offseason, he obviously wants more help on the defensive side of the ball. That defense has been an atrocity. What do? Free agent splashes. It's Boye Mafe. Here's Cook. Here's a couple others. And, of course, here's the trade, 10th overall for Dexter Lawrence. So I want to read everybody this quote. And I want everyone to really consider this, right? So the story here is that the Bengals have restructured Joe Burrow's contract, which basically means they have pushed some of the money that he's due for this huge extension he signed, which he earned, into the future. So they'll pay him later. So they have more money now to free up cash to pay Dexter Lawrence. So that's why they did this, restructuring the deal. Bengals, de facto general manager Duke Tobin, who obviously is not playing with the full deck given what the ownership constraints in Cincinnati, issued this quote. Quote, "We've layered in challenges, but we, meaning the Bengals front office, but we're up to them. And we do it because we got the opportunity to add the right people and the right players. Those are challenges that the locker room isn't interested in. They're interested in having the best team possible, and that's what we're trying to give them. My question for all of you is this. When Duke Tobin says those are challenges that the locker room isn't interested in, do you think he's talking about players 2 through 52 or 2 through 53 or Joe Burrow? When he says they're interested in having the best team possible, and that's what we're trying to give them, do you think he means them, or do you think he means he's and him in Joe Burrow? What do you think he means? Notoriously cheap, tight-pursed Cincinnati is all of a sudden spending lots of money. Why do you think they're doing that? Why? Because they feel like the quarterback might not be long and might try to force his way out. I think this is all pretty obvious. What if things don't go well this year? What if the defense isn't up to snuff? What if they miss the playoffs again? What if they lose on Wild Card Weekend? And Joe Burrow looks around and says, really? This is it? Could you see him try and force his way out? It's not that crazy, is it? Bill Zimmerman is our executive producer. He's got the trivia question of the day on this Wednesday. Bill, what do we got?
All right, Nick, it got me thinking today when we had Derek Fisher on to look this up. Now, no LA Laker has ever won 6 titles with the franchise, but 7 players have won 5, including George Mikan and Jim Pollard. They won 5 with the Minneapolis Lakers. There are 5 players, Nick, that have won 5 championships with the LA Lakers. Can you name them all?
Well, Kobe is 1.
Kobe is 1.
Kareem
is 2.
I don't think Magic won 5. He didn't, right? Magic is not the right answer, correct?
Do you want me to answer that?
No, he didn't win 5.
Magic won 5.
So they won 5 in the 80s, huh?
Yeah, Kareem did not win in LA until Magic showed up, and they won as a rookie.
Okay, so it's not Worthy because Worthy was an 8. Well, we'll take a break. We'll try to answer this question on the other side, and we'll close the show with our bets for tonight right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
I love this game 17-0. I'm going to play it all day today. They don't pay me to say that, just saying. Also love the BetMGM app. And today, BetMGM players will receive an NBA Finals Odds Boost token. To use the token, add a wager made up of NBA playoff bets to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win that wager, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. I would like to play this game on the air if possible. Everyone's doing 82-0. We zig where others zag on You Better You Bet. I want to play 17-0. I also want to answer this trivia question correctly. So, per Bill Zimmerman, 5 players have won 5 NBA championships with the LA Lakers. I have identified 4. One of them was our guest yesterday, a.k.a. today on the show, Derek Fisher, to go along with Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, I believe it's only Kobe and Fisher that won the 3 with Shaq and then were around for the final 2. So I think this has to be someone from the 80s. It's not James Worthy because Worthy went first overall in 82. It's possible I'm forgetting someone else. I will go with Michael Cooper as the answer to the question.
And Michael Cooper is correct.
Yeah, nailed it.
So there you go. Kurt Rambis with 4, by the way.
Yeah, because Rambis wasn't on any of... Yeah, so which team was he not on? The first
probably
one?
Probably the 80 team. I'd have to look.
Okay. Good job by us. Thank you to Bill Zimmerman for the question. Great job by our crew. Bill, Tyler, Kenny, Dan. Dan's not here. And Mike. I appreciate it. Our guest today, the great Brett McMurphy. Who else did we have on today? Derek Fisher and Danny Parkins. I've smoked a lot of weed in my life. I'm sorry. Let's drop the dope ass beat and get to the bets. Okay. I've really enjoyed the show, especially since the first hour ended, because I haven't thought that much about, the fact that my favorite team's playing Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight, and if they lose, it's 2-2 going back to San Antonio and they have home court. I like the Knicks tonight. I have to. I have bet the Knicks. And that's it. If I had to bet a prop for the game, it gives me no pleasure to say this, but if I had to bet a prop for the game, I am pretty confident, and I talked about this earlier, in Stephon Castle playing well again. His points prop is 16.5, juiced to the under. I just feel like he's a big-time player. I'm not going to bet that because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm just saying. That does it for the Wednesday edition of the show. I'll talk to all of you tomorrow on a Thursday, hopefully celebrating a Knicks 3-1 series lead. Until then, I'm Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. Black and Abdallah coming up next. Go New York, go New York, go.